So check out this split screen from last night in Washington. President Trump hosting a UFC fight at the White House, while in New York City, a who's who of the president's critics all got together for a counter rally featuring celebrity lectures and breathing exercises.
Trump said, "I love the inflation." Now say it with me. Shut the up. Loving our country is starting to sound like an abused spouse saying they love their abuser. I can't love the country that's led by Donald Trump.
And just take a really deep breath in and breathe in all that hope, all that love, and just breathe out all that fear.
Right now, the government and its cronies is routinely violating its First Amendment to silence artists.
Don Lemon arrested, Georgia Fort arrested, Terry Moran fired from ABC. All of us shown the door for just doing our jobs.
And if it's Democrats, you know there was singing.
We're going to unite our voices to fight back against the repression and violence. Are you ready to rise up? Let's go. Rise up. We're going to rise up.
Greg, I can't wait to hear the next Democrat group therapy session on why they can't win back men.
That was incredible. What a contrast. On one hand, you have this kind of a group of aging, fading, bitter, mentally unwell-looking group of people, and then you contrast that with the obvious. You forget about the patriotism and the White House. Just people having fun, smiling and laughing, and they look at us and they go, "Ugh." Ooh, we look at them and we just kind of laugh. And I think that's an interesting point, is that we understand their mindset and our mindset. But they don't understand either. They don't even understand their own mindset. Like, how did they get to this place? And why are they so angry? Because if it were any other variable besides Trump, they would think they were being irrational. But for some reason, it is one giant blind spot, and they've sacrificed all their credibility. I mean, they can't come after us for being disgusting about having this UFC fight when you had a trans party at the White House with Joe. So it's kind of like, you know what? This is fun. This is great. It appeals to a lot of people. You guys look very sad right now, and you might honestly, I could help them. We have tried to help them. Right. And her breathing exercises, she's right about the breathing exercises. They do help, but they don't help in the way she's doing it. You don't get a bunch of angry people together and go, "I know you're really angry, breathe with me. See you later, I'm off on my private jet." Mm-hmm. They actually have to do that every morning and think about something other than Trump.
And politics.
Politics.
It's kind of a funny window into the 10-year arc of the parties, Jesse, because Barack Obama, he got young people, and they were enthusiastic and excited, and the Republicans were really kind of the party of the older people. Now it's flipped, and the Republicans are the fun team.
We are. I was getting a bagel this weekend, and we were in line, and this woman with glasses and bad teeth and a ponytail hears my voice, and she turns around and she says, "You!" And I said, "Uh-oh." And she says, "You are the one that spews lies on TV." I mean, I'm like Limbaugh. I'm right 99.8% of the time. But my wife's there, and she says, "Do you talk to everyone like that, the way you talk to my husband?" And she's like, go inside and get your bagel. And the woman starts shaking. You know how mentally ill they are. And she's like totally disconnected from reality.
They don't know how to talk to people.
Like miserable, angry, crazy. And you look at what's going on here. I mean, we've just defeated the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We're about to sign a peace deal to get all their uranium. We just had thousands of Americans chanting USA on the White House lawn at the greatest UFC fight I've ever seen. 7 TKOs in a row. While they have the Marine Band playing all the intro songs, while they have the U.S. Air Force flying overhead to celebrate America 250, the greatest country in the world. At the same weekend, you have all of these Europeans who the liberals love here visiting, talking about how the United States is the greatest country in the world. Have you seen these videos of the French, Germans, and the Dutch, astounded about our landscape, our food, our trucks,
How friendly
our
people are.
freedom, how friendly the American people are. And it's like the United States is also like, wait a second, we take all this stuff for granted. Yeah, maybe we are great. The Europeans are saying we're great. I think it must be true. So the Knicks, Trump's no jinx, major championship. Think about the run we're on. We have the hockey team winning the gold. I mean, we have crime down, the border sealed. We have the UFO files coming out, Jessica. This is a generational run we're on. I think you should just be happy to be alive.
This is very similar counter-programming that the Democrats did at the State of the Union that also fell flat, or the No Kings rally. And a lot of it is just all anger directed at Trump. At some point, do the Democrats know how to pivot and to talk about some sort of solution-oriented ideas that they have instead of this kind of thing?
Well, I think so. And I mean, we've been doing well in elections, which indicates that people are hearing something that they like. And I think beyond just we don't like Trump, since a lot of voters were Trump 2024 voters and now are swinging back in this direction, I would separate the No Kings rallies out of this, because I think mobilizing, 5-8 million people is a big deal. And hopefully that translates
Thank
to
you,
the
George
election.
Soros and NGOs.
Yep.
Okay, it's all fake. Okay.
No, I'm just saying it's
All right.
definitely
and there are
not real.
There are no Republican billionaires that mobilize.
Not the way you
people.
guys do it. I tip my
Elon
hat.
Musk, what he spent $250 million getting Donald Trump elected.
So,
Yeah, I don't agree
didn't
with all
organize
of
fake
the
protests
counter-programming.
or the Charlottesville.
I'm still okay. I'm very proud to be an American, no matter who the president is, and I think that is important to spend some time on, especially as we head into the 250th birthday. The contrast was stark. I thought the flyover looked really cool. UFC is not my jam. I wouldn't watch it in the garden and don't want to watch it on the lawn. But Jesse's saying, oh, this is, about America's birthday, et cetera. It was not lost on anyone that you could only watch it on Paramount Plus, on David Ellison's streaming service, or that he's paying the fighters in crypto and it's the Trump family coin.
Paramount owns UFC. They own the rights.
If it's for all of us, they should have found a way so that all of us could watch. And you've got to mention, and I know you probably don't want to, that the guy who won at the end, that Josh Hokett, gets up there and says, Michelle Obama is a man. That was his final message. So you had a guy who vomited on himself during a weigh-in the day before, stands up there, Joe Rogan, maybe he was paralyzed in the moment and didn't think, oh, I should emphasize the fact that Michelle Obama, a former first lady, since we're talking about patriotism and paying our respects to the White House and those who have come before us, is not a man.
He's not running for Senate.
It doesn't. And then the White House today won't even clean it up. Stephen Chung's like, well, Josh Hokett had a great night. Dana White's out there saying this is no good. Portnoy, Shane Gillis, everybody knows that it is repulsive, and I presume you guys know this as well, that shouldn't
How about
be.
Plattner?
Why can't you just say that the guy should never have said that Michelle Obama
I'm merely
was
pointing
male?
out
And
there's
they're gonna
nobody
sue them
on
for
the left that has
defamation?
any credibility to ask us that question.
Why can't, because we don't know what a woman is? Is that what you're trying?
No, because you guys have kept silent on everything. Hell, I seem to remember not too long ago how often I heard that Melania Trump was an escort. And from a lot of people who are now huffing and huffing, people who say that a black kid who stabs a white kid, that was just him defending himself. People faking Charlie Kirk getting stabbed in the neck, thinking it's funny. People hoping for another Luigi Mangione to take out Elon Musk, or perhaps Trump, or maybe both. See, we don't have to listen. In fact, we enjoy it when you're upset. That guy is a troll. He showed up at the weigh-in pretending he was drunk and was throwing up applesauce as a fake pretense because he was pretending he was scared. That's called a troll. We get it. Not our fault if you don't. He knows it's going to upset you. He's a troll. You give a mic to a troll.
Some standards.
That was
Vote for Plattner.
That's what his point was.
Vote
Emily,
for
give us a
Plattner.
final word. We have to be quick.
You lost your credibility.
Yep.
And that everyone is ascribing what that one athlete said to President Trump. Look at the difference between those two events. One was held at the People's House. You talk about watching it. Anyone could have gone. Tickets were available. Anyone can go to the People's House and the capital of this entire country and go. And then you contrast the Dems concert here in New York City, which is number 50 on the list of affordable housing. That's why half of that audience had white hair because they are all from the Upper East Side. They are so wealthy. Those guys are has-beens. Robert De Niro and Julia Roberts, they did not get the message that using them, these leftover celebrities from the 90s that live in these gated, homes, somehow they are the mouthpiece that the Dems are trying to get back. Robert De Niro flat out said, I can't love the country that's led by Donald Trump.
Wow.
The difference between the libs and the Republicans is that the Republicans, conservatives truly want everyone to be free. They want everyone to be happy and to love America. And the Dems, the libs, will consistently hate half the country. And that's why 29% of Dems hate the country and aren't proud to be American. You're only one of 29% that is proud of America right now as a Democrat. That is shameful that the party doesn't say, you know what, you guys, you should lift everyone up. You should be happy no matter what.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.